Ξεκινάμε με το πρώτο μας θέμα από το κεντρικό Λονδίνο και από το σπίτι της Κύπρου. Την περασμένη Τρίτη, 24 Μαΐου, πραγματοποιήθηκε μια ενδιαφέρουσα εκδήλωση που διοργάνωσε το UK Cyprus Enterprise Council και ο πρόεδρος του, κύριος Πήτερ Δρουσσιώτης, σε συνεργασία με το Cyprus Environment Foundation και την Executive Director, κυρία Σοφία Μάτση. Συμμετείχε επίσης ο κύριος Ben Goldsmith, ο πρόεδρος του The Conversation Collective. Η εκδήλωση αυτή είχε σκοπό την υποστήριξη των δράσεων για την προστασία του φυσικού περιβάλλοντος της Κύπρου, αλλά και σε παγκόσμιο επίπεδο. Η προσέλευση ήταν αξιοσημείωτη, με συμμετέχοντες φίλους της Κύπρου στο Ηνωμένο Βασίλειο, όπως διακεκριμένους επιστήμονες, ακαδημαϊκούς, τραπεζίτες, επιχειρηματίες, οικολόγους, καθώς και πολλούς άλλους. Πριν ξεκινήσουν οι ομιλίες, οι καλεσμένοι είχαν την ευκαιρία να γνωριστούν και να συνομιλήσουν στην ευχάριστη ατμόσφαιρα της μεγάλης αίθουσας της Κυπριακής Ύπατης Αρμοστίας. Την εκδήλωση συντόνισε ο εμπορικός ακόλουθος της Κυπριακής Ύπατης Αρμοστίας, κύριος Κώστας Δάφος, ο οποίος πρώτα καλωσόρισε τους παρευρισκόμενους και στη συνέχεια κάλεσε στο βήμα τον πρόεδρο του UK Cyprus Enterprise Council, κύριο Πήτερ Δρουσσιώτη. Στη συνέχεια ακολούθησε χαιρετισμός και σύντομη ομιλία του ύπατου αρμοστή της Κυπριακής Δημοκρατίας, κύριου Ανδρέα Κακουρή. Ας παρακολουθήσουμε όλα αυτά που σας περιγράψαμε στο βίντεο που ακολουθεί.
So hello everyone. For the people who don't know me, my name is Kostas Dafos, Commercial Attaché at the Cyprus High Commission in London, this building actually. So welcome everyone. Welcome to the Cyprus home, as we usually say very correctly. We're very excited that this event this evening is taking place here with us for such a crucial issue as the environment, either it's in the UK or in Cyprus. So we're very excited to hear these wonderful people this evening about what initiatives they take place in the UK and in Cyprus. So we're very, very much looking forward to it. So without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Pήτερ Δρουσσιώτης, the chairman of the UK Cyprus Enterprise Council, for the initial remarks and take it from there. Enjoy the evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kostas. Thank you for that introduction. Can you hear me okay? Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all this evening to our exclusive presentation here in London of the Cyprus Environment Foundation, which is part of the Conservation Collective, a global network of locally focused environmental foundations. First of all, I would like to thank our excellent High Commissioner, my good friend Andreas Kakouris, we stand him there, for the collaboration in the organization of this event, for his willingness to place the event under his auspices and for enabling us to use the superb facilities here at the High Commission in London. I'm really grateful to him for that. And I'm grateful to Kostas Dafos as well, the commercial attaché at the High Commission, for his excellent collaboration. I would also like to introduce and thank Ben Goldsmith, who is just showing his face down there. God, Ben, we're going to come up here. Ben is chairman of the Conservation Collective. He's a passionate champion of environmental causes. And I'd like to thank him very much for the excellent collaboration as well. Of course, I would like to thank his team at the collective, particularly Jade Brudnell, who's here with us, who's been helping us organize the event. And of course, I'd like to express my warm welcome and thanks to Sofia Mátsi, the Executive Director of the Cyprus Environment Foundation, for the close and productive way in which we've been able to work in the last few months. Sofia has traveled specially from Cyprus to be here with us tonight, and I was delighted that I was able to meet with you, Sofia, in person after all these months, of Zoom meetings and so on. So that's been great. My thanks also go to the media for being here tonight to cover the event, because an essential part of our mission is to spread the word, to increase awareness about the work that we do, the work that the Cyprus Environment Foundation is doing on the island. So thank you to Hellenic TV and to Thanasis Gavos, who I think will be joining us soon, who is a senior journalist at the Cyprus News Agency, for their involvement with our event. Above all, I'm grateful to you for the interest that you have shown in this initiative, which I hope will mark the beginning of a dialogue with the Cyprus enterprise, with the Cyprus Environment Foundation, that will lead to a lasting and fruitful relationship between you and the Cyprus Environment Foundation. Now, when approached last year by John Regan, who's another committed environmentalist and happens to be here with us as well tonight, when approached by John last year, I have to say that my colleagues and I on the UK Cyprus Enterprise Council responded immediately and soon after agreed to support this great project, both materially and intellectually. Our rationale is that Cyprus desperately needs this initiative, and that the Cypriots themselves need to proactively embrace projects, campaigns and actions designed to protect, restore and enhance the island's nature and environment. We are also of the opinion that the Cypriot diaspora can and should play a vital role in this context. The Cyprus Environment Foundation will not, of course, perform miracles, nor will it seek to address all of the many environmental challenges facing the island. But I am convinced that through selected strategic partnerships and alliances, and with the support of its sponsors and benefactors, it will make a significant difference on the ground in relation to a series of targeted and worthwhile projects. Sofia will tell us more about the projects currently being supported, as well as others in the pipeline. As the great Greek poet Pindar wrote, "Do not aspire to immortal life, but exhaust the limits of the possible." And there is no doubt that there is so much more that the Cypriots can do to exhaust the limits of the possible in relation to the conservation of what is probably the island's most important asset, its natural environment. Thank you very much for listening to me. I'd now like to invite the High Commissioner for his remarks. High Commissioner.
Thank you, Peter, and good evening and a very warm welcome to each and every one of you to Cyprus House. It is a great pleasure to be with you this evening, and at last we're returning to some semblance of normality, having gone through the traumas of the COVID pandemic for over 2 years, and I'm especially happy to be hosting you here at the High Commission. I'm pleased to personally welcome Ben Goldsmith, Chairman of the Conservation Collective, Sofia Mátsi, Executive Director of the Cyprus Environment Foundation, who, as Peter said, flew all the way from Cyprus, and thank you, Sofia, for bringing the Cypriot weather with you. Not quite, but anyway, we're getting there. The UK Cyprus Enterprise Council, headed by its chairman and my good friend Pήτερ Δρουσσιώτης, and of course all of you who are here to support such an important initiative. Thank you, Peter, for your introduction and for shedding light on a significant initiative for Cyprus that I truly hope will lead to meaningful collaboration and synergies between various stakeholders and interests from businesses and philanthropists, with the view to supporting various nature regeneration projects on the island. I'm also very much looking forward to Ben's and Sofia's presentations so they can share with us in more detail their thoughts on protecting and promoting nature and biodiversity. It goes without saying that environmental challenges and the threat of climate change are global and can only be mitigated if we act together. In fact, I think I'm going to correct myself because I used the phrase climate change. It's more correct to say climate crisis. It is a crisis that urgently requires sustained individual and collective action. I think we're obligated to do this with a sense of utmost urgency and joint commitment in order to accelerate global transformation to a low-carbon and climate-resilient society. For this reason, Cyprus remains fully committed to take all necessary measures so as to achieve the Paris Agreement and the EU targets, with the aim of achieving a 55% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 and carbon neutrality by 2050, and fully endorses and supports the initiatives and declarations of COP26. To accomplish these ambitious goals, Cyprus will allocate more than €500 million up until 2026, adopting new policies and measures as regards using cleaner fuels, such as natural gas and renewable energy sources, and promoting necessary investments in the relevant areas of transport, agriculture, industry, land use, and forestry and waste management. Furthermore, following recent studies from prominent institutions which classified the Eastern Mediterranean and Middle East region as a global climate hotspot, and with the region lacking environmental observations and coordinated policy actions, the President of the Republic of Cyprus, Mr. Nikos Anastasiadis, has promoted an international initiative spearheaded by Cyprus called the Cyprus Climate Change Initiative to coordinate the efforts in the Eastern Mediterranean and Middle East region to ameliorate climate change and its impacts in accordance with the Paris Agreement. This important initiative has received strong support and has since progressed. The scientific preparatory work has been concluded based on the findings of the region's top scientists and policymakers, with the development and refinement of a regional climate action plan underway. Following the first ministerial meeting conducted virtually on the 2nd of February this year, a second meeting is scheduled to take place on the 7th of June in Cyprus, a precursor to the launching of the initiative planned for late October for a leaders' summit to be hosted by the President. Let me also, if I may, highlight the initiative of the government to establish a Blue Charter Centre of Excellence, building on Cyprus's role as a Commonwealth Blue Charter champion. The centre will focus on governance for a sustainable blue economy, sustainable aquaculture, marine research, development and innovation, in the framework of meeting the targets of the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, particularly SDG 14, Life Below Water, And I think this shows again the commitment and forward thinking of Cyprus in this field. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no doubt that humanity has reached a critical point where we should all act now, collectively in a very coordinated manner. We are at an inflection point where our decisions and actions have more than a ripple effect. Our attitude, our actions, and our decisions have consequences. We have a duty to build the solid foundations for a sustainable future for the coming generations so they can effectively address the serious environmental challenges in our region and our planet. And in ending my remarks, I would like to congratulate the Conservation Collective, the Cyprus Environment Foundation for their efforts towards a more clean and green environment, and the UK Cyprus Enterprise Council for organising today's important and I would say groundbreaking event and for supporting such initiatives. Thank you, and I wish you all a productive and enjoyable evening.
Ακολούθησαν δύο επιπλέον ομιλίες. Πρώτος μίλησε ο πρόεδρος του The Conversation Collective, κύριος Ben Goldsmith, ο οποίος μίλησε με θερμά λόγια για την πρωτοβουλία και των δύο ιδρυμάτων, δήλωσε την υποστήριξή του και τόνισε τη σημασία που έχει η προστασία του περιβάλλοντος, η αποκατάσταση της φύσης και η προστασία της κλιματικής αλλαγής. Στο βίντεο που ακολουθεί θα σας παρουσιάσουμε ένα μεγάλο μέρος της ομιλίας του.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. We're really blown away by this, actually, to be in this beautiful building. We're so grateful to you and all the work that you and your team have put into organising this. And we are just so lucky to have met these two individuals here. Sofia, who's running our new foundation, and Pήτερ, who's really shown us how chairmanship is meant to be. I've already learned so much from Pήτερ, his energy and the work he's put into this, and this room is testament to that. This is actually our 17th locally focused environment foundation. Now, the Conservation Collective is building these local foundations in a whole range of places, including many in the Mediterranean, across Spain and Italy, and Greece, Indian Ocean, and so on. And I just thought I'd explain a little bit about what we're doing and why we're doing it. I'm sorry to say I've never yet visited Cyprus. And this gives me a reason to do so. But I think I understand why you all love Cyprus so much. Because I love my place. My place is Somerset, 100 miles west of London. And I've lived there my adult life. I'm doing some rewilding there. And I love my place in the same way that you love Cyprus, principally because of the nature of that place, the natural world. The best experiences from my childhood are all derived from time spent in nature. And I think that's true for most people. And I think that we don't just love nature in our place, I think we have a need for time spent in nature. The writer E.O. Wilson coined the term biophilia, which describes the innate love that each human being has for the place in which they live, for the nature in the place in which they live, for the non-human world. And it's the sights, it's the feelings, it's the time we spend in nature, and it's the smells and so on. In fact, Professor Haralambos over there is a chemist. And we were just talking about the interesting interface between chemistry and biology. Even the trees are releasing chemicals called volatile organic compounds, which speak to each other. In the African savannah, if one tree is being nibbled by a giraffe, it releases one of these chemicals, and the trees around it immediately send up toxins and bad taste to their leaves to deter the giraffe. They're speaking to each other. They're speaking to us. When you walk through the forest, the volatile organic compounds we now understand that are released by the trees around us make us feel good. The Japanese Health Service is prescribing patients time spent in forest. They call it, loosely translated, they call it forest bathing. And they say you must spend 5 hours a week forest bathing, Mr. Goldsmith, if you're going to recover from your sickness. And you go and you spend time in community forests, which are designated for this very purpose, because nature is speaking to us and communicating with us in ways that we're only just beginning to understand. And it's been shown in studies in California that just witnessing nature through your hospital window, and you recover faster. And I think that this biophilia has fallen dormant in many of us in our society. But it's not gone completely. An apartment which overlooks Hyde Park will sell twice the price of one which doesn't look over Hyde Park. People crave this contact with nature. And just at the moment where we start to realize how much we need nature in our lives, how much we love the natural world, we find it terribly depleted. I don't know how many people in this room remember long drives, summer drives in our childhood, and the windscreen was covered in insects. You have to stop and clean the windscreen from the insects, so they're gone. Now the windscreen is clean. And in this country, the cuckoo, which is the sound of the beginning of summer, is down 90% in my lifetime. You know, the turtle dove, which is a symbol of love in English culture, is down 95%. Most of the species that we love have fallen silent, and nature has become terribly depleted, particularly in the Western world. And the good news is it recovers very fast. So the recovery of nature can be really dramatic. There's a marine protected area in an island called Cabrera in Mallorca, where after 8 years of protection from commercial extraction, it's like an aquarium. It's become the #1 diving destination in the whole Mediterranean. You have the fish from the entire water column, from the top to the bottom. You have recovery of the Posidonia seagrass. You have turtles. It's like a Disney movie in this one place where they just offered protection from commercial extraction. Nature recovers incredibly quickly. This is a cheap problem by comparison with others. It's a cheap problem to solve. You know, the world has spent trillions trying to tackle, unsuccessfully trying to contain COVID. You want to build a hospital, brick by brick, machine by machine, you'll spend millions of euros. You want to build a new wing on the National Gallery, I can tell you who to call, you'll have your name above the door, but the check will be huge. You want to fix nature, it's very inexpensive. You just have to remove your foot from the throat of nature and life will come flooding back very quickly. This is an inexpensive problem to solve, and the results are dramatic. Michael Bloomberg refers to the greatest J-curve in the world is the recovery of nature, if you just give it a chance. And all over the world, and especially we found, because of Sofia's help, in Cyprus, there are people beavering away in their free time, working towards the recovery of nature. We just don't see them. You know, it's a waiter who gave you coffee in the morning, and he's spending his weekends persuading his community to clean up plastics. Or it's a marine biologist that teaches your kid in the university, and he's campaigning for a new marine protected area or for greater protection for sea turtles. If you look behind the curtain, you'll find people, small groups and individuals, working with no budget or with very limited budget for environmental recovery. But the money is not reaching them. In fact, total philanthropic giving in Europe, of total philanthropic giving, less than 3% in Europe is directed towards these kinds of organizations, towards the environment. Much greater proportion is going on health, education, arts, and so on. But all of those other things are dependent upon a healthy environment. If nature, which is blinking out all around us, if it declines sufficiently, all of these other things become irrelevant or impossible. And so the challenge that we're trying to address with the Conservation Collective is how to persuade people to write a check, to put their hand in their pocket, to support these organizations which are going to bring nature recovery into reality.
Κύρια ομιλήτρια σε αυτή την ενδιαφέρουσα εκδήλωση ήταν η κυρία Σοφία Μάτση, η Executive Director του Cyprus Environment Foundation, η οποία ήρθε από την Κύπρο ειδικά για αυτή την εκδήλωση. Η κυρία Μάτση έκανε μια εκτενή αναφορά στο έργο του Ιδρύματος, αλλά και στις προσπάθειες που κάνει το Cyprus Environment Foundation για την προστασία του περιβάλλοντος και για την αποκατάσταση και ανάπλαση του φυσικού περιβάλλοντος της Κύπρου. Ας παρακολουθήσουμε ένα μεγάλο μέρος της παρουσίασης της κυρίας Μάτση.
Good evening from myself as well. I'm Sofia, as you probably know already. Thank you very much for hosting us here in Sakagoris. This is indeed a beautiful space to be in, and what a better place to initiate the foundation than by presenting it here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Peter, thank you so much for all your hard work and for the UK Cyprus Enterprise Council for believing in our cause and pushing to organize such an event. It's really an honor to be working by your side. Thank you very much. I will take you on a trip to Cyprus. I will take you through some, why we think it's important to do the work we do. And at the end, I will show you examples of projects that we already are running on the island. So I believe that something in common we all have is our passion and our love for the island. And we want to protect it. We want to conserve it as much as we can. And there are very good reasons to doing that. We have very special species that reside only in Cyprus that and can be found nowhere else in the world. We are considered a biodiversity hotspot, and we have millions of birds flying through Cyprus every year during autumn and spring. Some very important species in the Mediterranean find home in Cyprus. And because of that, Cyprus, almost a third of the island is considered as Natura protected area, because it's recognized for how special it is and how unique it is in terms of species and protected areas. Yet, we do have a lot of threats. We do have important species being threatened by human actions. Our groundwater is quality and quantity-wise is diminishing in alarming levels. We are unfortunate champions in the use of pesticides in EU, as well as waste production, and we do not recycle enough. We produce about 30% more waste than the average EU citizen. Apart from that, as Mr. Kakouris mentioned before, we are located at the hotspot of climate change, which makes things even more tricky. The temperatures are going up really high, really fast, and precipitation is reducing. So our work for conservation is even more critical as we go through the years. So that's what pretty much propelled the existence of this foundation. Our goal, our vision in the Cyprus Environment Foundation is to enhance and to protect the ecosystems and environment of Cyprus. And we do that, as Ben explained, it's a pretty simple model. We get funding from individuals or from organizations that have a passion for the island, and we distribute that to the local champions. We have exceptional people and organizations doing conservational work in Cyprus, and we want to put fuel in their work by giving out grants. The structure of the foundation is pretty simple. We have the executive director, communication, grant applications, driving fundraising, of course the steering committee, which is part of our donors, and we decide together on strategy or on the growth of our foundation and on grant approval. But of course, we have advisory council, which is experts, technical experts, scientific experts on the island, on ecology, biodiversity, waste management, that help our steering committee make good decisions on where the money will be distributed. And of course, as an opportunity, I would like to thank, because we have the majority of our steering committee being present here with Ben, Jade, Peter, who is our chair, and media. So thank you for all your support, and because of all the hard work that we did together, at the end we will also present a few of the projects that we approved in the first round of grants. So what are we interested in? What are the fields that we work in? That was identified through a scoping report that was done in the summer of 2021, and it pretty much ranges in conserving biodiversity, using land regeneratively, which includes nature-based solutions like regenerative farming and organic farming, like Ben mentioned before. It's managing our waste sustainably, and as well resources like energy and water. So I will use the last part of my presentation just to share a few snapshots of our 5 first grants that we are already running on the island and we're really excited about. One of the projects is called Fish the Alien, inspired by the alien invasive species. Biological invasion is one of the top 3 threats on marine ecosystems, and especially the Mediterranean is highly impacted due to climate change. This project wants to turn the narrative. So a problem is transformed into a solution. Lionfish, for example, is edible species, but there's not enough awareness or demand among consumers. So this project wants to educate people through gastronomic events, cooking events, training chefs and chef schools and restaurants how to introduce this kind of species in their menus, which eventually brings a sustainable financial transformation in fishing practices. This has been a project that was successfully implemented in other local foundations in Greece, and we're very excited to work with these two organizations that have great experience in this. And this is part of campaigning that has already started. Another project that we're working is protecting our wetlands. Wetlands are some of the most crucial ecosystems worldwide. And in Cyprus, during COVID, it was realized that we depended heavily on experts flying in from other countries to come and help us survey our wetlands. That was not possible during the 2 years of the pandemic, and so the local experts decided that we need to train more locals to be experts. And so this project provides optical equipment as well as training on how to monitor all our wetlands in Cyprus and eventually change policy if it's needed, if problems, challenges are identified, or if species are identified if they're under threat.
Αμέσως μετά τις ομιλίες και την παρουσίαση, οι παρευρισκόμενοι είχαν την ευκαιρία να ανταλλάξουν απόψεις για αυτό το μείζον ζήτημα της προστασίας του περιβάλλοντος, καθώς και της κλιματικής αλλαγής. Στο συνεργάτη μας Βασίλη Παναγή μίλησε ο πρόεδρος του UK Cyprus Enterprise Council, κύριος Πήτερ Δρουσσιώτης. Ας παρακολουθήσουμε τη συνέντευξη που έδωσε στην κάμερα του σταθμού μας.
Καλησπέρα σας. Βρισκόμαστε στην Κυπριακή Πρεσβεία, στο σπίτι της Κύπρου, όπου μόλις έχει τελειώσει αυτή η πολύ ενδιαφέρουσα εκδήλωση, η εκδήλωση του UK Cyprus Enterprise Council. Mr. Πήτερ Δρουσσιώτης, είστε ο ιδρυτής?
Ήμουν ένας από τους ιδρυτές του Συμβουλίου και είμαι πρόεδρος του Συμβουλίου τα τελευταία 8 χρόνια.
Για ποιο σκοπό λοιπόν αυτή η οργάνωση έχει πάρει ας πούμε έναν δρόμο ο οποίος προχωρά προς την κατεύθυνση του να βοηθά ανθρώπους οι οποίοι έχουν διάφορα projects για να διαφυλάξουμε την φύση?
Απόψε έχουμε μια εκδήλωση η οποία είναι επικεντρωμένη πάνω στο αυτό το νέο ίδρυμα για το περιβάλλον στην Κύπρο και πιστεύω ότι είναι μια πολύ σημαντική πρωτοβουλία, ο σκοπός της οποίας είναι η προώθηση οργανώσεων οι οποίες προστατεύουν και προσπαθούν να συντηρήσουν το περιβάλλον στην Κύπρο. Είναι κάτι πολύ σημαντικό για το νησί. Πιστεύουμε ακράδαντα ότι υπάρχει μια μεγάλη ανάγκη στο νησί για αυτού του είδους πρωτοβουλειών και έτσι το Συμβούλιο έχει αποφασίσει να στηρίξει αυτή την προσπάθεια του Cyprus Environment Foundation, το οποίο ιδρύθηκε πριν περίπου 8 μήνες.
Επομένως, η σχέση σας είναι να βοηθάτε με ποιο τρόπο όμως και πώς το στηρίζετε αυτό το...
Το στηρίζουμε με διάφορους τρόπους. Ένας από αυτόν είναι η προσπάθεια να συγκεντρώσουμε χρηματοδότηση των πρωτοβουλειών του συνδέσμου αυτού και έχουμε ήδη προσελκύσει οικονομική στήριξη από άτομα της διασποράς οι οποίοι έχουν την ευχέρεια να προωθήσουν αυτή την πρωτοβουλία και αυτό θα συνεχιστεί. Η άλλη σκοπιά είναι η πρόθεση ενός δικτύου ανθρώπων και επιχειρήσεων τόσο στην Κύπρο όσο και στο εξωτερικό, στη διασπορά, με στενές σχέσεις με την Κύπρο, στενούς δεσμούς με την Κύπρο, κάτι το οποίο προωθούμε συνεχώς. Και αυτή η εκδήλωση απόψε έγκυται προς αυτή την κατεύθυνση. Δηλαδή η προσπάθεια είναι να προωθήσουμε αυτή την προσπάθεια, αυτή τη δουλειά που γίνεται στο νησί και να φέρουμε κοντά μας περισσότερους ανθρώπους οι οποίοι είναι σε θέση να βοηθήσουν και να στηρίξουν την πρωτοβουλία.
Μέχρι τώρα οι προσπάθειες που έγιναν έχουν αποφέρει έτσι καρπούς?
Ναι, έχουμε αποφέρει καρπούς. Είχαμε ένα target όσον αφορά τη χρηματοδότηση φέτος 100.000 ευρώ. Έχουμε ήδη προσελκύσει 70.000 ευρώ και πιστεύω ότι ως το τέλος του χρόνου θα προσελκύσουμε και το υπόλοιπο ποσό. Γίνεται δουλειά με διάφορους επιχειρηματίες οι οποίοι είναι σε θέση να συνεισφέρουν και πιστεύω ότι θα το κάνουν. Φυσικά είναι μια μακροχρόνια προσπάθεια, δεν θα γίνουν θαύματα από τη μια μέρα στην άλλη, αλλά πιστεύω με τη δουλειά που γίνεται και όπως είδαμε και απόψε την παρουσίαση που έγινε, είμαστε σε θέση να προσελκύσουμε περαιτέρω στήριξη, οικονομική στήριξη για αυτή την πολύ σημαντική πρωτοβουλία.
Όσον αφορά, γιατί έγινε και ερώτηση προηγουμένως, όσον αφορά την κυβέρνηση, ποια είναι η βοήθεια που μπορείτε να πάρετε ή είναι η κυβέρνηση ενδιαφερόμενη για να βοηθήσει?
Είχαμε συναντήσεις με την Υπουργό Ενέργειας και Εμπορίου, την κυρία Νατάσα Πιλίδη. Η Σοφία Μάτση, η εκτελεστική διευθυντής του οργανισμού, είχε συνάντηση και με τον κύριο Πέρδη, ο οποίος είναι ο υφυπουργός για θέματα τουρισμού. Υπάρχει ένας διάλογος με την κυβέρνηση και αυτός ο διάλογος θα αναπτυχθεί περαιτέρω. Πιστεύω ότι η κυβέρνηση είναι σε θέση να συνεισφέρει πολλά, έχοντας υπόψη ότι η Κύπρος είναι μέλος κράτους της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης και ως εκ τούτου έχει τη δυνατότητα να προσελκύσει μεγαλύτερα ποσά από την Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση και πιστεύω ότι είναι έχουμε την ευκαιρία να αναπτύξουμε ένα διάλογο μαζί με την κυβέρνηση, να αναπτύξουμε σχέσεις με υπουργούς οι οποίοι είναι σε θέση να επηρεάσουν καταστάσεις και αυτό γίνεται καθημερινώς.
Πολύ ωραία, ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ, να είστε καλά. Εύχομαι κάθε επιτυχία.
Ευχαριστώ Βασίλη, ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ.
Ακολούθησε η επόμενη συνέντευξη όπου η συνεργάτηδά μας, Τζίλα Ζηλιφτάρη, συνομίλησε με την κύρια ομιλήτρια της εκδήλωσης, κυρία Σοφία Μάτση, η οποία αναφέρθηκε στον κύριο σκοπό της ίδρυσης του Cyprus Environment Foundation, καθώς και στις δράσεις του για την περιβαλλοντική προστασία. Ας παρακολουθήσουμε αυτή την ενδιαφέρουσα συνέντευξη.
Βρισκόμαστε στην Κυπριακή Πρεσβεία που μόλις ολοκληρώθηκε αυτή η εξαιρετικά ενδιαφέρουσα εκδήλωση και κοντά μας έχουμε τη διευθύντρια του Foundation, κυρία Σοφία Μάτση. Κυρία Μάτση, ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ για την απόψινή εκδήλωση. Πείτε μας δύο λόγια για τον οργανισμό και τον κεντρικό του στόχο.
Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ που είστε εδώ. Ο οργανισμός είναι ένας μη κερδοσκοπικός οργανισμός που ασχολείται ουσιαστικά με την διατήρηση και προστασία του φυσικού περιβάλλοντος της Κύπρου και των οικοσυστημάτων της Κύπρου. Και αυτό που στοχεύει να κάνει είναι να δίνει καύσιμα μέσα από δωρεές σε τοπικούς περιβαλλοντικούς οργανισμούς για να συνεχίσουν να κάνουν εξαιρετικό έργο στο νησί.
Θεωρείτε ότι η πανδημία έχει ενισχύσει τη σχέση ανθρώπου-φύσης?
Θεωρώ ότι ήταν μια σχέση η οποία αναζωπυρώθηκε. Ο κόσμος είχε την ευκαιρία, διότι δεν είχε ίσως άλλη επιλογή, να βρει λίγη χαλάρωση έξω. Αλλά παρόλα είδαμε και αρκετές περιπτώσεις όπου γίνεται δηλαδή οι μάσκες, τα πλαστικά, πολύ επιβάρυνση στο φυσικό περιβάλλον. Οπότε θεωρώ ότι ο κόσμος ναι εκτίμησε, αλλά πρέπει πάλι να ξαναξιολογήσουμε τη σχέση μας σε μια εν καιρό πανδημίας, τι κάνουμε τελικά.
Η σχέση ανθρώπου-φύσης θεωρείτε ότι είναι αμφίδρομα ευεργετική?
Θεωρώ ότι είναι περισσότερο ευεργετική για μας. Είχε μπει κάτι ωραίο νομπέν στην αρχή, ότι κερδίζουμε μέσα από το να επισκεπτόμαστε τη φύση. Έχουμε να αποφεληθούμε πολύ περισσότερα από όσα αντιλαμβανόμαστε και αν κάνουμε λίγο λιγότερα, η φύση θα αποφεληθεί ακόμη περισσότερο από εμάς.
Πώς μπορεί ο κόσμος να συμμετέχει και πώς μπορεί να σας προσεγγίσει?
Μπορεί να μας βρει στην ιστοσελίδα μας, cyprusenvironment.org. Θα βρει μπόλικους τρόπους με τους οποίους μπορεί να συσχετιστεί με εμάς. Μπορεί να είναι μια δωρεά,
διότι εξαρτώμαστε αποκλειστικά από δωρεές είτε ατόμων είτε οργανισμών. Μπορεί να είναι εθελοντισμός, να μας βοηθήσει για την οργάνωση μιας εκδήλωσης ή να συνεργαστούμε σε ένα project με την παροχή υπηρεσιών ή έργου. Οπωσδήποτε μπορεί ο καθένας. Και εννοείται στα μέσα κοινωνικής δικτύωσης βάζουμε περιεχόμενο συνεχώς για να μπορούμε να είμαστε σε επαφή με τον κόσμο.
Να στείλουμε τέλος και ένα ηχηρό μήνυμα στους τηλεθεατές μας σήμερα.
Ναι, να πούμε ότι πόσον εξαρτώμαστε για η επιβίωση μας στον πλανήτη και ιδιαίτερα στη χώρα μας ο καθένας, πόσον εξαρτάται από την υγεία του περιβάλλοντος και θα έλεγα ότι παίρνουμε μηνύματα από την αλλαγή του καιρού πλέον, ότι δεν έχουμε χρόνο να περιμένουμε. Είναι καιρός να ξεκινήσουμε να το βάζουμε σαν προτεραιότητα και όχι δεύτερης κατηγορίας δράσης. Οπότε θα έλεγα, ναι, να έρθει ο κόσμος κοντά, να κάνουμε ακριβώς στην Κύπρο μας έναν πιο όμορφο τόπο για να το ζουν και οι επόμενες γενιές.
Να υπενθυμίσουμε και στον κόσμο ότι τη συνέντευξή σας στην εκπομπή Faces και τον κύριο Βασίλη Παναγή μπορούν όλοι να την παρακολουθήσουν και στα social media του καναλιού αλλά και στο κανάλι μας στο YouTube και σας ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ. Ευχόμαστε καλή συνέχεια στο έργο σας.
Ευχαριστώ επίσης.
Ολόκληρη αυτή η εκδήλωση θα προβληθεί από το σταθμό μας προσεχώς στην εκπομπή με το φακό του Hellenic TV.